Okay.
All right. So welcome to the podcast, everybody. Something a little different. We're going to be doing a video recording because I have a beautiful guest with me today. As always, we talk about all things self-love, self-care, and self-confidence, and we get right to the point. So I want to introduce you to Sina. She's a local entrepreneur here in Edmonton, Alberta, and she has two beautiful waxing studios in the city that I frequent about every 4 weeks myself. And you also have a line of products which have become a major staple in my beauty routine. I just bought the body brush, and I also love your underarms so much. So thank you for creating that. I think it's the nicest and nicest smelling natural underarm that I've ever used. The other ones just don't work. So, and I was going to bring it on here actually to show you, because I'm at the point where I have to flick it out and use it manually to get it all out.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So today's topic is going to be self-confidence and body hair, which is something that Sina sees and works with every day at her 2 studio locations in the city. And I'm going to let Sina share her story and a little bit about, why she started the studios and what it really means and the impact she's having in the community.
Well, thanks, Delaney. I'm delighted to be your guest today. So I'm Sina. I own Buff Wax Spot, which is a chain of wax bars here in Edmonton. I started Buff Wax Spot because I noticed when I moved to the city that there wasn't really any dedicated wax bars. So it wasn't difficult to find wax services per se, but it was difficult to find consistently good waxing services that were fast, that were done really well in a clean, hygienic manner, and that were affordably priced. So I moved to Edmonton 8 years ago now. And so just, when you move somewhere new, you're looking for new grocery, new dentist, new doctor, like all of that stuff. And finding a new place to get waxed was on my list. And after about 8 months, I realized that, this wax bar concept that I had gotten used to in Toronto didn't exist in Edmonton. I really liked the business model of wax bars. I thought that they take basically a really important and essential aesthetic service, waxing, and they turn it from an experience that most people don't look forward to into something that's really fun, something you want to tell your friends and family about, and something I dare say you even look forward to getting. So I thought maybe there's an idea here to open a wax bar in Edmonton. I did some research for about 3/4 of a year to make sure that it was a feasible idea, decided it was, and then got hired with another company. And so kind of shelved the idea actually for a few months and didn't forget about it, but didn't think about it either. And then when my now husband, then boyfriend, and I went on a road trip, we were kind of talking about it, and I was telling him about this idea I'd had, and he encouraged me to go for it. He said, "I think you should try." And I said, "Well, I don't even know where to start." And he said, "Well, why don't you use my house?" So he had a house at the time with lots of spare bedrooms, and he said I could use one of his bedrooms as a little studio, and that's really where Buff Wax Spot was born. I'll never forget my first client, bless her heart. I was so nervous. And when she paid me at the end, I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe that she had paid me to do this service. It was really something. And she told some of her friends. Before I knew it, I actually moved into like a 2-bedroom apartment so that I could work on Buff Wax Spot a little bit more intensively. And fast forward to February 2017, opened up my first storefront, which is my Southside Ellerslie location. I hired staff for the first time. I had rent to pay for the first time. It was really, really exciting, and we did really well. And I opened our second location about a year and a few months later on the north side, and also was doing really, really well. And then COVID hit and has really put a damper on some of my growth plans. But one thing I'm really proud of is that our reputation really precedes us. And during some pretty dark days last year, and even this year, during multiple closures, really, really slow periods as people decided to hunker down and stay at home and not, understandably get waxed and do other things. Was really grateful to have a community that supports us, supports our values. One of our strongest being, as we'll talk about today, that everybody is welcome, and we are really here to help you feel better and more confident. And if hair removal is part of that, awesome, come to us. But if hair removal isn't part of that for you, that's also just fine. So yeah, bit of a long-winded introduction, but there we are.
I love your story. I love the starting in the, the spare bedroom of your boyfriend's house. That's really amazing, and having clients come, and I love it. And I also really like how you pivoted through COVID as well, and you started to change up your offering a little bit. And at that time you were doing, waxing kits. And so I think that really helped you to stay present mind in the community as well. And I am also loving your reels. You are hilarious.
Oh,
I'm loving them. And I just wanted to say that your studios and even your branding is very inclusive. And you really do show an array of bodies and different ethnicities and products for women and men as well. And I think that it's absolutely beautiful. And I always love going to the studio as well. It's just, I don't go anywhere else.
oh, Delaney, thank you.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you're welcome. Yeah.
Thank you. That's awesome.
Yeah. Also, you mentioned whether or not waxing is or isn't part of your journey to, some women don't even shave their armpits, right? And it's really that choice, that personal choice. And to also have the option to have that space where if you do want it to be taken care of, you can as well. Do you also see medical reasons why people come into the studio as well?
For waxing, usually like if somebody's going to have surgery, that might be a big one. We have lots of pregnant mamas that come in that want to be nice and smooth for delivery and after. Those on weight loss journeys often come in, and actually that's really special because they're starting to fall in love with themselves again. Yeah. And taking care of themselves is part of that journey of learning to love oneself again, and being vulnerable enough to show your body, whatever it is that you're getting waxed, to a complete stranger, and to let us take care of you in that way is I think an honor.
Yeah, I've had children, so for me to kind of come in to the wax studio is not as much of a big deal as I've been through birth a few times, but it's still the be seen. I know when clients come to me, they're super nervous when they walk in, and then there's like a comfort and that needs to go along with that. And then by the end, it's, there's no doubt that why they did it, and they said yes, and they're so happy that they did, right? So really being able to hold space for people to be vulnerable and really go through that journey of taking care of their body and showing it some love, because it really isn't right or wrong if you want to have hair removed. And I think it's becoming more normal for people to seek these things out. But what would you say are some of the myths about waxing? Are there any myths or anything that you want to dispel about the industry?
I would say probably, let's see, what are some of the things we hear? That hair might grow back coarser, particularly with, let's say, we see that a lot for facial waxing, like upper lip waxing. Waxing definitely does not make your hair grow back thicker or coarser. In fact, it does the very opposite. Waxing damages the hair follicles. Hair doesn't like being ripped out of its follicle. And when you do that a couple of times, it weakens it. Sometimes it even kills a follicle, which is great because it means that hair won't regrow. And that leads to the thinning and permanent hair reduction that we all love that comes with waxing. I think also people associate, and rightfully so, waxing with pain, with bruising, with burning, just a really unpleasant experience, or worse, having a technician who doesn't seem to care about you as a person, isn't interested in you as a person. And while waxing is, it's not a massage, but it's also truly not as painful as a lot of people think. And that's something we really love at Buff, is that we're able to turn around an experience that many people have extremely low expectations of, and turn it into a wow 5-star experience for people.
Awesome. Love that. I've seen I know you have new branding from when you first started, so it's a bit of an evolution, but you've also started carrying sexual and wellness products in your spaces as well. So what was the kind of like the reason behind it and the expansion into that space? Was it you just saw that there was a need, or you wanted to, give something new to your client base?
I think it was a combination of all of those things. I'm really pleased to see sexual wellness blossom as a accepted part of like what we would call self-care. There's some really fantastic brands out there doing really cool things, and normalizing a lot of what normalizing what a lot of women actually do but don't want to talk about.
Right.
And they're creating very specific products for women to target very specific issues that women face, and making it very publicly and widely available, so you don't have to go to a specialty store to get them. So I think it's really awesome to see in the last 2-3 years how much this category has grown. At Buff, because we focus so much on confidence and wellness, and intimate waxing is our top service. So I always thought any products that we can sell that support and or celebrate and or help you feel good about your intimate bits would be a great fit for us. Funny story, I tried to introduce sexual wellness products back in 2017, actually. And I think it was too soon. It didn't do well. There were a lot of like tees and,
Yeah.
so I think the market wasn't ready. So I feel so vindicated bringing back a lot of these products again, and now having really great reception by the community. And I think people are just a lot more open to talking about things that make them feel good down there, and wanting to buy products that make them feel good down there. Getting a wax, like a Brazilian wax or intimate wax, makes you feel good down there. And it's okay to talk about toys that also make you feel good down there. So for me, it felt like a very natural fit with our brand.
Yeah, I have to agree. It was, I walked in the space the first time and I saw them on the shelf, and they weren't like, in your face, right? They were nicely displayed. And I was like, oh, this is amazing. This is awesome. I'm glad that it's there for people to see, and that it's in a space that you don't have to walk into an adult store to go and see, right? It's not behind plastic, packaging, and it's really beautifully displayed, which I think also feels more available and easier to approach.
Exactly.
Because we don't always want to go to a specialty shop like a sex store or something like that to have to see these things, because I think it gives it a bit of a different a feel to it, right? So in a safe space, beautifully displayed. Yeah, the products, I felt a very perfect fit, and I was actually quite excited to see it there. So
that's awesome. I'm glad to hear that. When we bring things out into the light, it's hard for that thing to feel shameful or embarrassing. I know when I started Buff, call it officially in 2017, when I opened the stores, I think I kind of took Edmonton by surprise by how frank and open and straightforward our language was. So we openly use the words vagina and penis and scrotum and in between bum cheeks to describe our services. We're like, I'm very careful to toe the line between being clear and being vulgar. It's a very, very thin line.
Yeah.
But I try to stay on the, on the classier side of things. But at the same time, I don't want to be unclear, because I don't want to signal by being unclear or by using evasive language that this is something embarrassing that you're inquiring about, or this is a service that, you only want to be talking, about like very kind of quietly. Like, no, we can talk openly about the fact that you want to get a Brazilian done. And if you want to know what's involved, we're going to tell you exactly what's involved, because I think at the end of the day, you want to know exactly what you're getting waxed, rather than me sort of, well, it's kind of everything that's in your underwear, and yeah, we'll take care of it all. Don't worry.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's that clarity with your clients, right? And there's no confusion. And I'm not a huge fan of the flowery words either. Even with my children, I don't use them. It's a penis and a vagina, and it's I love it. I love that you are pushing some of those boundaries and allowing people to say some of those words and ask for what they want and totally feel okay with it, without the secrecy or the shame, the walk of shame or whatever, for wanting to go get a Brazilian, because it's, oh well, that's only for strippers or women who are want to be seen by lots of people, and that just isn't the case at all. It's very personal decision.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that also plays into, I think what we're speaking to today is helping people to feel more like welcome and not judged, and therefore confident about taking care of yourself, whether that's like a boudoir photo shoot with you, or getting an intimate wax for the very first time with us, something like that.
Yeah. I would say that a lot of my clients definitely have those services done before that they come in, and it's just kind of part of it, and they don't have to worry about it, right? It's gone, and they don't have to worry that something's going to be, hair is going to be poking out of their underwear, or shave bumps and that kind of thing. So I definitely recommend adding that to their routine as well. One other thing is, I saw on Instagram is that you're going to be a drop-off location for No Periods Without.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
and it's interesting how small sometimes Edmonton feels. And we've launched our self-love campaign, and that is our donation. So we will be donating a box of menstrual products to No Periods Without for everyone that signs up. And then if anyone wants to bring more. So I thought that was pretty cool that I saw you on there. So that's really awesome. I may even take mine and bring them to you. Have them dropped off there, make it easy. And that's confidence too, right? It's having the right products with you, and being confident when you are, having your period and going through your menstruation. And it definitely is in alignment with what your messaging is as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We've even installed bidets. I know you were thrilled to discover.
I was like, oh my God, if I knew there was a bidet here, I'd use the bathroom every time.
It's such a funny story. My team approached me and said, I think we should have a bidet. And what I know of bidets are that they are standalone units. And I said, well, I don't know that we have the plumbing to support that. And like, that sounds really expensive. Oh no, we found it on Amazon. Okay, let me see what this thing looks like. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to install it. So if somebody like will install it, we can go ahead and purchase it. Well,
yeah,
they went ahead and did it, and took me about, let's see, I think a month and a half to convince me to try it. I was just so like, nope, no, thank you. I finally tried this thing, and it's amazing. So we put it in place because not because and I want to be clear, like, we didn't put it in place because our clients are unclean. Rather, we know that as a client, what you are worrying about the most, actually, after what do they think about my bits, is it clean? So that's just there for you. If you really feel like you need that extra boost, maybe you're coming after work, or you had like a nervous poop or something, like that's there for you to just like blast it all away and know like you are crystal clean, not that we care. So
Yeah,
trying
yeah.
through the day was really fun. And I think we've got it installed at our Southside location. I'll have to double check, but I definitely want to make a post about that on Instagram, because if somebody's really concerned, like hop into the bathroom and, have a shower for your intimate bits.
Yeah, it definitely added to my experience. And I've actually been thinking about it for my house as well, because I've seen, they're pretty easy to attach to your toilet now, right? It's not really that big of a deal. They don't have to be a
No,
standalone unit, right? And so I used it and I was like, you're like, oh, there's going to be the initial shock, but I was like, oh, this is amazing. And yes, I definitely need one. And then I think of my children. I was like, oh, this might be a bit of a mess. I don't really know, but turning it on and off and whatever. But yeah, it just adds to that experience and giving that extra boost of confidence before they lay down and get their intimate wax, right? It definitely did for me. So I think that's awesome. Really
yeah,
going into the full experience of, what the client, when they walk through the door, right to when they leave.
exactly. It's like trying to anticipate what are all the things that are making this client nervous today about their experience here, and what can I do to not only anticipate them, but like take that away for them.
Yeah, those pain points in the industry. It was interesting. I was listening to someone talk, and it was about like the blue ocean strategy and going outside of your industry to kind of find what are they doing and how are they changing and evolving. And one of those things is the pain points. They recommend not talking to your client base, but talking to the people. Why don't you come for a wax? And maybe some of those are the things, right? Well, I'm uncomfortable, like, showing myself or those kinds of things. So how can I alleviate and help those
Yeah,
pain points to allow more people to go through the experience of, if it's something that they really want, it can really boost their self-confidence.
absolutely. I know for me, and uh, disclosure alert, Delane was my wedding photographer. I detest having my picture taken. If it were not for my dad, I don't think there would be any pictures of me as a kid. As it is, there aren't many because I just was not interested. And so when Brandon and I got engaged, we had a very small wedding, and I'm telling you, the thing I dreaded the most of the entire event was the photography, and I wasn't going to have a wedding photographer. But I knew my parents would like that would not fly, and I was so nervous about photography. Uh, and you did such a great job with kind of like, I don't know how to say this in a way. I don't mean this in a bad way, but you sort of like disappeared. I didn't feel like the lens was in my face, and you had me and Brandon pose just so naturally. And it turned out to be such a wonderful experience, but you made it feel really safe and comfortable and not formal and stuffy. And as a result, we have beautiful wedding photos that I actually look at least once a year. And it's such a nice reminder of our time together. But it was something I was dead set against. I tighten up. I can't stand photos. I don't know why. So
Well, I mean, I appreciate you sharing that with me. And it's always sometimes surprising which clients feel the most nervous. But it was, oh my God, your wedding was beautiful. And it was an absolute pleasure to photograph you and your family and your wedding. And you and Brandon, you guys are just a beautiful couple. And it's, yeah, it was amazing. It was
thanks.
amazing. Thank you for sharing
Even shooing off the deer. Do you remember the mother deer with the
yeah,
two?
that's right.
He was like, honey, I was here first.
I'm just trying to do family photos,
Yeah,
get out of here.
yeah, yeah. No, she was not leaving. I think we had to call hotel staff to kind of help nudge her along. But
Yeah.
yeah, that was fantastic. Something I actually want to ask you is how do you incorporate diversity into your photo shoots? And as a preamble, for me, as a woman and as a woman of color, I am so sensitive to marketing material, branding material that doesn't show somebody who looks like me. So from the outset, what I did with Buff was to make sure that we were always showcasing not only bodies of all types and sizes, but also skin tone of all varieties, to make sure that for anybody who was interested in coming to Buff saw themselves reflected somewhere in our marketing and branding, whether it was on our website or social, on Facebook, Instagram, like they saw themselves somewhere reflected. Because when you don't see yourself reflected, what you think is, oh, she must or he must not accommodate clients like me. There's a reason why I'm not seeing myself reflected in this photographer's portfolio. They must not, I hate to say it, but they must not like to photograph Black people. Maybe they find it difficult to capture, our skin tone properly, because when you're darker toned like me, like you have variations in your skin tone, and it's really obvious. So these are the kind of things that people instantly are thinking about and making decisions on based on what they're not seeing a lot of the time. I know I do that personally, and I'm wondering, in your world, how do you address that?
I think for me, it's just really showcasing every woman. I don't pick and choose clients who I show online. So I don't filter the message, and I don't filter the size or the age of the woman. I really showcase every woman that walks through my door. And it's women of all ages and backgrounds. I don't know that I purposefully try to get that message across, but I love this conversation, because as you're talking, I notice online things can be very, very curated. And I'm trying to move away from that, especially on social media, as much as I can. And the other thing is, I photograph women who are plus size, but they don't look like it. So I think there's this allowing women to not really focus on the size of what they're wearing or what they're bringing, and really just looking at the female form as it is. So it's curvy, it's thin women, it's all shapes, all sizes, wearing beautiful lingerie and going to places that have a wide range of options for women. Even for myself, it's hard sometimes to go and purchase a bra because they just don't have the right size. So it's really finding those places that are inclusive as well, that they can order something in, or they're super friendly and they're, helping those women to find something amazing. It's really important to wear something that you feel amazing in for your session, because that just elevates your self-confidence big time. I have a client texting me today, showing me pictures of her in the dressing room. How about this one? How about this one? Right? So there's really that touch point all the way through. And as far as addressing the differences, I guess I don't really do that. I just really encourage women to find what they love and what they feel good in where they are today. So it's more about, I want to help you the way that you are today, in the body that you're in, to feel like your best self, to start feeling confident where you are. And you are right, it is a bit of a skill to photograph darker skin. And your wedding is a perfect example. You're darker skin and you're wearing a white dress, and your husband is light and he's wearing a darker suit. And it's like the contrast and everything. And you have to really pay attention to how you're exposing and your lighting and everything, because it could, and it can affect self-confidence. Absolutely. The other thing I do is I don't heavily edit anybody's shape. I don't make anybody, try to make them look 20 years younger. It's not about that at all for me. It's about shaping the body and posing to make them feel amazing, just the way they are today as I see them. But I love this question. It's actually making me, what else can I do? How else can I make, women feel even more, empowered and drawn to it, right? Because it really is for everybody, I believe. So yeah, great question, girl. Thank you. I don't know if I just rambled through that one, And I think that a lot of us need to ask those questions even more. Yeah, I know for myself, looking at, certain things, and you see the typical beauty standard in front of you, and you're like, well, I'm not that at all, right? And I think you can ask those questions, right? It's, well, I guess they don't really serve me or my type of person. So I think it's important to, and you do absolutely do with that with your branding as well, and the women that you're showing through that. So yeah, it's motivating and inspiring. So thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
I think, and I certainly didn't mean to ask that or to put you on the spot.
No, that's okay. It's good.
But like, I think it's something that's good for us to start thinking about, because once you're aware, once that seed is planted, I think you start looking for ways to make it work for you. Once you're aware, or what's the expression? Once you've seen, you can't unsee.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's for, all areas of life too, right? It's once you kind of know, and then you can choose which sort of path that you want to take, right? And without the having it to come to a front or a problem or an issue, right? How can we change it now moving forward and help everybody feel included and inclusive? So yeah, I think it's an important conversation to have.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, there's already wonderful changes that I'm seeing. I'm seeing a lot more diversity. I mean, like truly everywhere, on Netflix, in marketing materials, like billboards. It's pretty amazing to see that shift. And as a person of color, it feels awesome to see yourself reflected more and more in society.
Yeah. And I think it's, if we're being honest, it's not something that I've noticed, because I'm seeing me reflected most of the time, a white woman, right? So it's I'm seeing myself in, like billboards or whatever in magazines, and I think that it's very important for all of us to be represented. So, but it's that awareness piece, right? It's recognizing that. And I do see it every once in a while, and I recognize, especially women, maybe not necessarily focused on the color, but the women who are being represented too, right? As whether there's no women involved at all in the conversation or that sort of thing, because I'm a white Canadian woman, right? So I think there's definitely things that we can listen to and make those changes. So yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Cool.
It's a work in progress.
And thank you again for doing what you're doing, and helping other business owners and people feel totally welcome. And there's always room for improvement, right?
Always.
Yeah.
Always.
Awesome.
Definitely.
Well, thank you, Sina. That was amazing. And we are going to be doing a giveaway, but we're not going to announce that here today, because we're still going to get that together, but we're going to put that out, and just watch out on Instagram for the giveaway. And we'll have Sina tagged in the show notes so that you can go and check her out. And thank you so much for being here and having this amazing conversation with me.
Thank you for having me, of course. Thanks, Delane.
You're welcome.
Thank you.